Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us again on India Today Global. If you're watching the news, you know that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Brunei. He's on the second day of his visit at this extremely important Southeast Asian country. He's in fact just in the middle of a delegation level talk with the Sultan of Brunei. This is of course a country that has gained increasing importance in the region for India, given how important Southeast Asia as a whole has been to India's foreign policy. But let's just walk you through Brunei. What is the Prime Minister doing there? What is exactly been happening? So the Prime Minister landed yesterday in Brunei. He was welcomed by the Crown Prince of this Southeast Asian state. Remember that Brunei is an Islamic monarchy. It is not a democratic state, of course. So he was welcomed by the Crown Prince, after which he spent the entire day meeting the Indian community. He also visited a major mosque in Brunei, of course, a very, very important national monument that he went and visited. So that has gotten a lot of attention. He's also had the opportunity this morning to have delegation level talks. So we'll talk to you about what exactly is involved in those delegation talks in just a bit. But so the Prime Minister landed yesterday and having delegation level talks with the Sultan of Brunei right now. But let's again recap something that we were talking about yesterday, which is what is Brunei, where is it, why exactly does it matter to India? And the important thing you should know is where Brunei is in the first place. It borders Malaysia. It is a small country in Southeast Asia, and it has been increasingly important on the world stage over the last couple of years because of, or last couple of decades I should say, because of its dominance in the field of oil and natural gas. It is blessed with these fossil fuels and these reserves of energy that countries around the world, including India, are greatly interested in. In fact, something that you might want to know is that the economy of Brunei is almost completely dependent on these exports of oil and natural gas. It has in fact these revenues from oil and natural gas have transformed Brunei from a very poor Southeast Asian country to one of the richest countries in the world, with a per capita GDP of around $40,000 per person. So that is where you are with Brunei, extremely important in this regard, and that's kind of the reason why you're seeing Prime Minister Narendra Modi go to this country. Now let me walk you through why exactly Prime Minister Modi is there. He is there largely for three reasons. Number one, he's there for energy. India has, as you know, imported a lot of its energy for a very long time from foreign sources. There's an estimated 80% dependence of India on other countries for its imports of crude oil. Also, we import a lot of natural gas from other parts of the world. And the Ministry of External Affairs has made very clear that one of the motivations for the Prime Minister going to Brunei is to look at these long-term natural gas contracts. India is looking to work with countries around the world to import oil, to import natural gas. It wants a diversified source of supply so that a geopolitical shock somewhere, a war somewhere does not disrupt India's economic and energy security. So we're trying to work with numerous countries, whether that's France or Vietnam or Brazil or just a range of other countries, Guyana of course included as well in this list. So from Europe to the Middle East to Latin America to now Southeast Asia as well, you have India diversifying where it gets its energy from, because for India's economic growth that is going to be absolutely essential. So that's why you have Prime Minister Modi going to Brunei to meet this country that has made so much money and so has gained so much prominence because of its exports of oil and natural gas. He's going to meet the Sultan of Brunei himself, considered to be a very colorful character. I was talking about this yesterday as well, if you managed to tune in for that live. But essentially, he's someone who has a net worth of around $30 billion, a fleet of thousands of cars, gold-plated everything, gold-plated palace, gold-plated Rolls Royces. That's what he's known for. That's his aesthetic, and that's what that's what he makes global headlines for. So Prime Minister Modi is meeting the Sultan of Brunei right now, and of course I'm sure a large part of the conversation will be this issue of energy. Besides this, you also have defense, you also have space. That's going to be an important part of the conversation. One of the people in the delegation level talks right now is National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and you know that he does not travel and go out without there being some interest in strategic components in defense, in technology, and for example in space. So you can be sure that with National Security Advisor Ajit Doval there is a national security angle to what the Prime Minister hopes to accomplish in there. So so in Brunei. So like I said, 3 different baskets of things: energy, defense, space, and of course with National Security Advisor Ajit Doval there, you can bet that there is something cooking on that side of things as well. So we've talked about what Brunei is, why it's prominent, why India is going. Let's talk a little bit about what has been happening. I already sort of related what the Prime Minister's itinerary was, but just to go over it again, yesterday he landed in Brunei. He was welcomed by the Crown Prince of the country. He then went to inaugurate the Chancery of the High Commission of India in Brunei. He basically said this was an attempt to deepen ties and also ensure that the Indian diaspora that lives there, which is around 14,000 strong in fields like education, a number of diverse fields. Prime Minister Modi said that inaugurating this Chancery was a way to ensure that that Indian diplomacy was able to serve these Indian nationals living abroad better. He also went to the Omar Ali Saifuddin Mosque in Brunei. It's seen as a national monument and very, very prominent landmark in Bandar Seri Begawan, which is the capital of Brunei. So that is also a major visit that the Prime Minister took on. And of course now he is in the middle of delegation level talks with the Sultan of Brunei, who I was just talking about a little bit earlier. We know what he's going to talk about, and he's also made his opening remarks. We will hopefully have those visuals for you in just a little bit, but I'll just tell you what he said. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that he was delighted to be able to visit Brunei so early in his 3rd term. It showed that he was he wanted to discuss very important matters related to the future with the Sultan of Brunei. He talked about having the Sultan over in India in 2018 as Chief Guest of Republic Day. Remember, that was the year in 2018 when ASEAN heads of state, all of them, were brought over to India to be a Chief Guest of Republic Day. So it's quite a novel diplomatic move. And he said that this was an event that Indians remember fondly. So trying to establish a connection with the Sultan's previous visit to India. He also said that in India and Brunei was celebrating the anniversary of several decades of diplomatic relations, and the fact that Brunei is an important part of India's Act East policy as well as its Indo-Pacific vision is going to be a very important part of India's Indo-Pacific policy and a sign of India's bright future geopolitically as well as in the region. Remember, Act East being the policy that was brought out just a little while, just a decade or so ago, talking about India expanding its relationship on its eastern front. It began as a successor to the Look East policy. The Look East policy came out after India, after the Cold War ended. India looked towards countries towards its east, Southeast Asia, Japan, Korea, in an effort to build closer diplomatic relations, closer strategic relations, closer economic ties as well. And the idea was that India had previously neglected these parts of the world for many reasons, because in many cases they were aligned to the United States and other countries. But with the end of the Cold War, India was much more free to look towards the east and work much more closely with those countries. And that has become the broad framework of how India looks at these countries. It's the Look East policy, and then of course just a little while ago it was made into the Act East policy, which is, it's enough looking, you also have to act. So that, just to clarify, is what the Prime Minister means when he says the Act East policy. So that is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said during his meeting with the Sultan of Brunei. Of course, those delegation level talks are going to go on for just a little while, and soon enough the Prime Minister is expected to leave Brunei, head to Singapore, where he is going to meet the Prime Minister of Singapore, Lawrence Wong, Lee Hsien Loong, who is the former Prime Minister, the son of Singapore's legendary founder, Lee Kuan Yew. You also have him meeting the President of Singapore, Sharman, forgive me, I'll come back to you with the name, but you also have Tharman Shanmugaratnam, my apologies, and that is also going to be a series of very important meetings that the Prime Minister is going to have. Technology is going to be a key focus. Remember that the Prime Minister and the Ministry of External Affairs have made very clear that investments from Singapore, because Singapore is a big gateway of foreign direct investment into India, as well as technology, including semiconductors, is going to be a major focus of the Prime Minister's visit to Singapore. We're also expected to see a lot of interaction with the top leaders, which is going to happen today, including a meeting with Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, we're told. So that is the Prime Minister's schedule. That's what he intends to do in Singapore. But right now, as I was mentioning, he's in the middle of delegation level talks with the delegation from Brunei, with the Sultan of Brunei himself. So we will keep you absolutely updated on the latest on this story, why this matters. We hope you enjoyed watching this. Thank you so much for joining us here on India Today Global, and we will keep you updated as the Prime Minister continues his 3-day tour of Brunei and Singapore. Thank you so much.